Am I the asshole for refusing to babysit my niece and leaving her with a stranger instead? I, F24, am an aunt to my 1-year-old niece Ava. My sister and brother-in-law live close to me, so I babysit for them sometimes. They don't pay me, but I'm happy to do it anyway. On Friday was their anniversary and they asked me 3 weeks in advance if I could babysit. I provisionally agreed because I had nothing else planned. My plans changed, however, when some of my old college friends told me they were stopping by my town on Friday. I haven't seen them in nearly 3 years and really wanted to see them. I gave my sister 5 days' notice that I could no longer babysit on Friday, and that she should make other arrangements. She didn't respond to the text, but she read it, so I assumed it was okay. On Friday, however, sister stopped by my house with Ava. I was confused and asked why she was here. She told me she was leaving Ava with me as originally planned. I said again I was busy. She replied that family is more important than my silly college friends, and I should step up to my responsibility as an aunt. Before I could protest, she bolted back to the car where brother-in-law was and they drove off, leaving Ava with me. I tried to call her after she left, but she had her phone off and none of my calls went through. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't leave Ava alone, but I also didn't want to cancel my plans. There's no other family members who live near me, however I do have a friend, Jade, who lives near. She is good with kids and does babysitting as a side hustle. I called her and explained the situation, even offering to pay her to look after Ava, but she was understanding and said she'd do it for free. I thanked her profusely and dropped Ava off. I texted my sister to say I'd left Ava with Jade and to collect her from her house. It's relevant to the story that neither sister nor Ava know Jade personally. My sister didn't respond immediately, but after about 2 hours she started spamming my phone. I turned my phone off, as I was already out by that point anyway. They picked up Ava later that evening and she was perfectly happy. However, my sister and brother-in-law are furious at me for dumping Ava with a stranger, even though they know Jade is a trusted friend of mine. They accused me of endangering my own niece. Many other family members have sided with them and I've been getting angry texts all weekend. I really don't know what to think. I felt like I acted as best I could given the circumstances. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. Your sister told you. She told me she was leaving Ava with me as originally planned. I said again I was busy. She replied that family is more important than my silly college friends, and I should step up to my responsibility as an aunt. Her responsibility is to be a parent and adjust her plans accordingly. This is on her. And I would refuse any more babysitting until she realizes she must respect you as an adult, not as a free babysitter. As far as the other family members who have now joined in to voice their petty opinions, just reply and let them know they appear to be extremely vested in this child care, so they can start babysitting. Your sister is at fault for involving other family members, shame on her for that. Am I the asshole for turning off my alarm in the morning, resulting in my roommate missing her first class? So this just happened about an hour ago and I need some confirmation that I'm not in the wrong here. I'm on mobile, so apologies in advance for formatting. My 21F roommate, 20F, are living in the same college dorm together. While we don't share a room, our rooms are adjacent to one another and the walls are pretty thin, so we can hear each other pretty easily through them. My first class on Mondays is normally at 9 in the morning, but today I woke up a little bit before my alarm, around 7:45, and checked my email to see that it was cancelled because the professor is sick. Since my next class wouldn't be until 12 o'clock, I turned off my alarm and fell back asleep. Around 9:30 I woke up to the sound of my roommate rushing around and being pretty noisy. I knew she had a class at 9 o'clock too, so I was curious as to why she was still here. I got up out of bed and walked out into the hallway between our rooms and saw that she was frantically running around trying to get ready. As soon as she saw me, she got this scowl on her face and angrily asked me why my alarm didn't go off. I told her my first class got cancelled and that I wanted to sleep in a little. Then she tells me that, thanks to me, she's super late for her first class. Apparently she relies on my alarm going off in the morning rather than setting one herself. I had no idea that was the case and still don't really understand why she doesn't have her own alarm set. I tried to apologize, but she was too preoccupied and seemed to be ignoring me. After a few minutes she was out the door, and since then I've been sitting in bed wondering if I'm really the asshole here or if she's only got herself to blame. I tried to apologize. No. At 20, she can set her own alarm. There was no communication from her. She relied on your alarm. She wanted to blame someone other than herself for something 100% her fault. Not the asshole. YTA to yourself for apologizing when you did nothing wrong. It just gives people the message that you're an easy target to abuse. The fact that you're even debating if you're an asshole shows you need to work on your assertiveness and esteem. None of this is a criticism. I know this from my own negative experiences. Your roommate is ridiculous and entitled. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You're not responsible for making sure she gets up in the morning. Hope she comes back in a better mood and apologizes. Not the asshole. And you didn't need to apologize either, as you did nothing wrong. She has her own phone, I assume. There is no excuse for her not setting her own alarm. Am I the asshole for refusing to pay for my gay son's tuition after he came out to his family? My 40F son, 19M, came out to my husband, 40M, and I when he was 14 years old. My husband and I are both atheists and support the LGBTQ+ community, and we're both proud of our son for coming out. However, my husband's mother is a devout Catholic and is extremely intolerant of gay people. She is wealthy, and my children were told from a young age their college would be paid for as long as they attended a private Christian or Catholic school. She believes this will keep them from partying, having premarital sex, etc. I don't agree with this and have argued my children getting the best education possible regardless of the school's religious affiliation should be her top priority, but she refuses to change her mind. My son chose a Christian college one state over to attend. He graduated with a lot of college credit from taking many AP classes in high school and will be done in 3 years opposed to 4. He's currently just began year 2, which has been already paid for. During Labor Day weekend, he came home to celebrate his grandma's birthday. He told one of his cousins that he was talking to a boy at his college, and thought he could trust him. He seemed supportive according to my son, but he told his mom and dad and my husband's sister and her husband are just as religious as my mother-in-law and outed my son to her. She is livid and called me and informed me she will not be making any future payments toward his tuition and told me to relay the message to him as she will no longer be speaking to him. I have told him many times not to come out to his grandma, cousins, aunt or uncle until he was through with college. I hate that he can't be himself, but my husband and I cannot afford his college. I don't like my mother-in-law and will be going no contact once my other 2 children, 15 female and 13 male, get their chance to have their tuition paid for as well. My son is okay with me waiting to do so for the sake of his siblings. He will unfortunately have to take out student loans and eat the cost of his final year. My son is obviously devastated he both will not have his final year of college paid for next year and that his cousin is not someone he can trust. He now wants me and my husband to foot the bill next year. We have $25,000 saved up currently that we plan on using for much-needed kitchen renovations. Our oven barely works, our dishwasher doesn't work at all, and the kitchen itself is worn down and outdated. My son is calling me an asshole for prioritizing to a remodel over his education. We've explained to him our kitchen is falling apart and it's much needed and is nowhere near the cost of his tuition, so even if we postponed it, we would still be short as his private school is very expensive. I feel like he is an adult and he needs to be the one to deal with the consequences, not us. Am I the asshole for not using our family's savings to cover his remaining tuition? Edit. I feel like I should clear up the kitchen remodel. Obviously appliances alone aren't going to cost me $25,000. The majority of money are going to necessary infrastructure repairs. I live in an expensive area, and yes, this is what it costs to fix just the necessities. My kitchen will in no way be fancy. I should have been more clear in the original post that I am not doing remodel for aesthetics. You are the asshole. Not because you can't afford it and letting your adult son figure it out, but for saying it was his fault he lost his money. In this entire post you are more angry and disappointed in your son instead of your bigot parents. You are more angry at your child than at the little tattletale who vomited homophobia at the first chance they got. Trying to hide yourself is so fucking hard, and you expected your son to not have any public relationships for years and years? You say, I hate that he has to hide himself, but the moment he tripped up, you said, well, sucks to be you, now fuck off. You're not as accepting as you seem. Am I the asshole for telling my niece her dog is not comparable to my child? I lost my 15-year-old daughter in a car accident last year. I have not been able to clean her room or go in it, so it's the same as it was when she was alive. My husband doesn't go in there either, and we keep the door closed. I don't go anywhere except work anymore, and while I'm in therapy, it isn't helping very much. My niece is 17 and has always been extremely empathetic to animals, but unempathetic to other people. Her dog passed away 2 years ago, and she was very torn up for months but has completely moved on now. Last week, she came to stay with us for the night, and my husband made her a bed on the couch. She asked why she couldn't sleep in the guest room, and I told her, confused, we don't have one, we live in a 2-bedroom house. Niece said that she thought our daughter's room was the guest room now. I explained that we hadn't been able to change anything yet, and she rolled her eyes and said it was a year ago, and we need to move on. When I started crying, she tried to apologize and, I think in an attempt to relate, said she had taken the loss of her dog very hard but got over it within a year, and I screamed that my child wasn't a dog. My husband came in to moderate, and ended up telling my niece to go home, called an Uber for her. I haven't spoken to her since, but my sister reached out and said I was being unreasonable and had made niece feel like a monster. I didn't mean to upset my niece, but I felt that she was completely out of line. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole, and I'm so sorry for your loss. Your niece is young and maybe was trying to relate to you with the only experience she's had. Until you've lost a child, you cannot possibly understand the depth of sorrow. Please, try to forgive her, she meant well. But forgiving her ignorance does not mean moving on or cleaning out that room. You take as long as you need. Not the asshole. Please accept my profound sympathy for the tragic loss of your daughter. I'm sure it's devastating and the experience is life-changing. Being told to get over it is unrealistic. May you find solace soon. Niece panic indicates to me she was way over her head when she said those things to you. She probably tried to find common ground but ended up making it worse. And you're right, not the same things.